how women train men to be angry. Fighting with a woman isn't worth it for a man because there's no way he can win. If they don't fight, they lose. If they do fight, they lose. This is something that many women do, and that many women do inadvertently. And this, of course, is to be expected, as few women prefer to be in the presence of male anger. Because if the only way I could be heard in my relationship was by raising my voice and becoming increasingly aggressive, then I would be molded into an angry, aggressive man over time. Women, you have to understand that the vast majority of men don't escalate to anger immediately, and you should just leave any man who does. Rather, the vast majority of men will try to communicate with their women many, many, many times in different ways, using different strategies before resorting to anger. And this is how women inadvertently train their men to be angry, by ignoring, disrespecting, or invalidating them when they attempt to communicate non-aggressively. And as should be abundantly obvious, this is very, very stupid. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message. Now, if a man, for whatever reason, can't seem to get through to his woman about something important to him, if he remains unheard time and time again, then there are really only three things that can happen. The first thing that can happen is that the man will escalate to anger and aggression. For better or worse, most men are going to attempt this strategy first before moving on to one of the two remaining options. In general, when people don't feel heard, they get louder. This is often counterproductive, especially in intersexual relationships. However, it is one of the remaining options when reason and understanding fail. And just to be clear, this isn't always a bad thing. After all, men are socially expected to be protectors, and they are encouraged to fight for the things that matter to them. Typically, one of the things that matters to men are their primary relationships. Now, when the security of that relationship is threatened by, say, a home invader, few women would have a problem with their men fighting to defend their relationships. However, when it is a woman's behavior that threatens the security of the relationship, then men are placed in a double bind. They feel pulled to protect the relationship, but doing so functionally means they end up fighting the woman who constitutes that relationship. This is unwise, women. It is not wise to put men in double binds unnecessarily. And this is because after most men escalate to anger and aggression and find it to be counterproductive, they are left with only two real courses of action. Either the man collapses internally in order to protect himself from the pain associated with his continued invalidation, becoming over time a shell of his former self, or he leaves. That's it. Those are the only options a man has when dealing with a woman who won't listen to him. He will either escalate, collapse, or leave. There are no other options. Now, women, does this mean that you simply have to cater to men's every desire? Absolutely not. However, it does mean that it's in your best interests either to rectify problematic behavior as quickly as possible, or to find ways to ensure that you disagree with your man in a way that does not leave him feeling invalidated or disrespected. In general, you should take respectful requests from the men in your life seriously, because they may not remain patient and respectful indefinitely. And you wouldn't expect them to remain indefinitely patient and respectful if they were dealing with anyone else who was threatening your relationship. Failure to do this functionally ensures that you will experience more and more conflict in your relationship until you end up either A, with the defeated shell of your man's former self, or B, alone. I encourage every man I work with to simply leave any woman who refuses to respect his boundaries or listen to his reasonable requests. And staying in a relationship until he is a husk of his former self is an even more devastating outcome. This means the best possible move when dealing with such women is for men to exit as quickly and graciously as possible. I've since learned my lesson, and you can too.